Sono Massimo Lopez.
I am Massimo Lopez, and I will be your guide. We'll take you to visit the magnificent natural landscapes and spectacular man-created works. A territory to love without compromise. Past dominations and influences can be read in the city's architecture, in the symbolic art, in the smiles and dialects, in the colors and in the life which brighten this area. A journey among southern Italy's UNESCO heritage. A miracle of time. A happy harmony between history and contemporary life. This is the definition Lucio Dalla gave of Matera. A maze of roads and alleys which take you back to Christian crypts. Matera is an inexhaustible source of surprise and inspiration. The bleak charm of the rock, which supports the refined and elegant decorations of the churches. The right contrast tells of Matera and its sassi. Ancient homes dug in tough and still lived in nowadays. Roofs in limestone slabs, disposed in always smaller concentric circles, surmounted by plumes of ever-changing shapes, enriched by esoteric and religious decorations. These are the trulli. This is Alberobello. Tight picturesque streets twist in ups and downs that one has to cross slowly, lingering on the doorsteps of its small shops and of the many houses one can visit to understand what it means to live inside a World Heritage Site. In Monte Sant'Angelo, inside the sanctuary of San Michele, under smooth and cold marble slabs in the shape of a staircase, you can admire the footprints of pilgrims, hands and feet dating back to the 11th century, roughly carved along the walls. Faith and folklore merge in lasting way inside the cavern consecrated to the Archangel Michael, which is always lit by small candles. Here, in the depths of the cave, is highly evocative and rich in work representing the saint. On the inside of the National Park of the Murgia, an octagonal structure rises proud and powerful, with 8 rooms on the ground floor and just as many on the first floor, with an octagonal tower rising at each of its 8 sides. This is Castel del Monte. For Friedrich II of Swabia, the mathematical rigor also had an esoteric meaning, confirmed by the game of light one can admire during the solstice and equinox. The castle's symbolism continues in these days to thrill the curious and scholars, leaving a pleasant sensation of an unsolved mystery. There are 16 municipalities born as fishing villages with colorful houses and large terraces that overlooked since remote times on the crystal clear water that acts as a natural rock to the hard cliff overlooking the sea. The Amalfi Coast knows how to fascinate you with its endless variety of colorful pottery, bewitch you with the vast variety of dishes related to its local products, astonish you with the numerous folkloristic events, which all year long color and lightens one of the most suggestive areas of Italy. Built by the Lombards and based on the homonymous church in Constantinople, the complex of Santa Sofia, with its hexagonal plan, is one of the most representative constructions showing the influence and the architectural ambition of the Germanic population which occupied these areas. The garden on the inside, the library, and the numerous lion statues guarding the religious complex tell of a faraway past but never forgotten. With a 250 meters long facade, the Royal Palace of Caserta continues to amaze even in its interior. The precious marbles of the immense stairway is the forerunner to the numerous frescoes, stuccos, and golden objects which dress the 1,200 apartments, where splendor and grandeur are the true leitmotif of the royal residence. The last of the Italian Baroque works still returns the effect wanted by Carlo of Borbone. To have viewed the most beautiful royal house in the world. The splashing of the water, the green grass of the Italian garden, which recovers the most different geometrical figures in a game of shapes, which makes every spot of the park of the Royal Palace of Caserta unique. The succession of pools and fountains designs an imaginary trail which guides the visitors up to the great waterfall. Just like the palace, its park was created with the idea to astonish and take one's breath away. When in 1753 Luigi Vanvitelli presented his idea of bringing water from the spring of Mount Taburno down to the palace, it was met with quite a lot of skepticism. To admire in the 21st century the light playing on the arcades and the imposing length of the Vanvitelli aqueduct shows even better the genius and foresight of this Neapolitan architect. Another important feature of the place is witnessed by the Garibaldi ossuary, a memorial to one of the most fundamental battles for the unity of Italy. The complex of San Leucio was born from an almost utopistic idea of King Ferdinando, the creation of a totally independent community which based its life on the weaving of Europe's best silk. Machinery dated more than 300 years old still shows us to this very date the precious soft and pure silk which furnished and still furnishes the White House, Buckingham Palace and the Palace of the Quirinale. Lend your ear and listen to nature. It's easy to do so in the second biggest Italian park, the Cilento Park in the Diano Valley. The noise of the waves breaking on the coastal area, made up of small beaches, mountainous areas with streams, cliffs and forests, which are the natural environment to a rich fauna of high naturalistic value. The Certosa of Padula is a massive Baroque monastery which houses in its interior one of the biggest cloisters in the world. Italian-style gardens, porches, monumental staircases which make this place magical with their elliptical shape. Entering from east, one walks through the long courtyard which houses the typical Certosa shops. The interior is of a Baroque grandeur with decorated stalks and pavements in maiolica. The Certosa of Padula strongly tells the story of 450 years of the Certosino monks, royal visits, pilgrim hospitality, and departures of crusaders. The hometown of illustrious philosophers such as Parmenides and Zenon, who lived through these streets and touched the walls, towers, and gates with their hands that are still heated by the southern sun and scrutinized by the eyes of many tourists. Velia is the true vivid witness of a culture which outlives the folk who created it, of a far civilization which still today makes its influence heard. Arcades, columns, long corridors and open areas is what welcomes you to the archaeological site of Paestum. The Paestum site allows one for a day to be part of that history of whom we are the offsprings. Works of art more than 2,000 years old ask you deep questions of the importance of our roots. A mosaic, a splendid patchwork consisting of enormous domes finished in gold, with very high ceilings decorated in mosaic, signs of the Arabic and Byzantine influence. This is how the northern part of Sicily appears, from Palermo to Cefalù. In its marketplaces swarming with life, one can breathe ancient traditions and world-famous dishes, which still today can cherish unequaled culinary experiences. Baroque is like life, irrational, dynamic, and contradictory. This is how Dino Formaggio defined the style. It's impossible to remain indifferent to the monumental elegance of palaces and fountains in this area of Sicily. Inlaid facades and precious interiors, sculpted lion heads and satyrs are the details of cities with urban plots which all follow one style, but differ in use of materials, starting with the dark grey of Catania to end with the honey colors of Noto. To one side, the extreme blue Mediterranean Sea, on the other, the history of ancient settlements which date up to 13 before Christ. The real and true cradle of Greek and Latin culture, the birthplace of Archimedes and the refuge of Caravaggio. The necropolis of Pantalica hands out unique sensations to all nature lovers. Through paths and rivers, one gets to the valley from where one can admire the ancient caves, refuge of indigenous people fleeing from the Sicilies. Like in a film, the magnificently restored and preserved mosaics of the ancient Roman villa of Piazza Armerina tell us a tale of over 2 centuries ago, where the Latin and Roman culture prevailed. Among the columns and gardens, the mosaic pavements and walls stand out, revealing the richness and magnificence of the Roman Empire, where tales of mythological inspiration and everyday life of the aristocracy follow one another. The 66 meters long hallway steals the visitor's attention by showing through the mosaics the roots of Western culture, a distant reality, but at the same time still so alive. The prehistoric village of Barumini is one of the best preserved evidence of the pre-Roman permanent settlements on the island. Lanes and passages interact with the connecting buildings thanks to a maze of tunnels which reveal the collective life of the settled populations. Touching stones laid over 2,800 years ago allows to breathe the magnificence of buildings used to defend and protect in times when survival was the only purpose. Feed your thirst of knowledge. Satisfy your desire for history and culture. Cross the church's aisles, deep in the blue sea. Breathe the tale of squares and castles. Taste the food which contains ancient traditions and folklore. Discover the virtual tours and trip organizers on patrimonidelsud.net.